Hey, legends. Thanks for joining me for another chat with Matt. Super pumped to be talking to legendary Australian obstacle racer Deanna Blegg tonight. And Deanna is one of the OGs of the sport of obstacle racing in Australia. When the sport arrived on our shores in 2012, Deanna had years of successful adventure racing behind her and dominated the top of the podium in every OCR event she entered. In 2012, Deanna took out second place female, third overall in a field of 1,400 elite athletes at World's Toughest Mudder in the United States, returning in 2013 for a third place finish. If you're an enduro or cold event racer, you have most likely seen or worn a pair of BleggMitts, a neoprene mitt that Deanna created specifically for obstacle racing. And just recently, Deanna, with four others, made up Team Second Chance in the world's toughest race eco challenge in Fiji. Run by Bear Grylls, this incredible event saw 66 teams from 30 countries cover 671 kilometres over 11 days. So I'm really pumped to be talking to Deanna tonight about all things racing. And here she is. How are you?
Good, thanks, Matt. Thanks so much for having me on board. I'm really excited to have a chat and relive some of the eco experience. It happened September last year, so it's kind of cool to watch it on TV, just relive it basically. So
yeah, definitely. I've just started binge watching it. I didn't have an Amazon account, so I sorted it out today. I've just finished the second episode because we
okay.
obviously decided to chat this week, and I thought I better get into it and watch a little bit of it. But I think I'm hooked. I don't think I'm going to sleep tonight.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be the only one that's binge watched it. It took us a few days to get through it, but yeah, it was certainly gripping, and it was just, when we're on the, in the jungle and stuff, we don't know. We only just know our little bubble and what's happening around us. So to hear about the other teams and their stories, it was we didn't, just even when you finish, you don't know really what's happened. So it was excellent series.
Yeah. And we'll definitely get into that. First, we're just going to go down through the comments that are coming in. We've got a heap of people on live already. Kathy Stammers, somebody that was a tag coming a little bit earlier. Maddie Probes is live. Kerry's live. Nikki Leach, Kat Smith. Kat Smith saying Deanna is a truly resilient, awesome woman. We've got Funzi live. Darren Burgess is live as well. So a bit of love coming in already. So yeah.
Thanks, guys.
So, and you've got an amazing, incredible story about how you got into this adventure racing. I think it was back in 2006. And when I posted the event that I was going to be talking to, a couple of people messaged me and just started giving me little bits of information. I'm like, wow, you've got an incredible story, and I'd love it if you would tell us your story, or as much or as little of it as you'd like to tell. How did it all begin?
Well, I guess as in my younger years, I was always an athlete. So I did when I was young, I started swimming, and then when I started high school, started running, and then triathlons became a thing. So I started doing triathlons, and that I did that for at quite a high level from the ages of 14, racing triathlons from the ages of 14 to 23. And yeah, that was, sport's been my life. My parents have been very supportive of, helping me achieve my goals with the sport. But by the age of 23, I got really burnt out and just decided I want to, see the world, stop racing, and I started traveling. So that set me on another journey for a couple of years. And, through that I did love traveling, and I still love traveling. And that just took me on another whirlwind journey. So sport came back into my life when I was, I think, 36 or 37. So there was a time between 23 and 36 that sport wasn't a part of my life. I had some other health issues that I was sort of working through. But I'd had two kids by then, and I saw a little flyer in the Anaconda shops for the Anaconda Adventure Race, and I don't know, something about the race just gripped me, and I just went, I looked at it and I just thought, I can win this. I can, I just got this buzz and this fire back for life that I'd lost. And, every day I'd think about it and I'd get that, that crazy rush that goes through your body, that sort of happy adrenaline, that good feeling. That was sort of coming back into my life. So that was for 2005. And that year I ended up very unwell in hospital. So I didn't race that year, but, it was still in my head. I still wanted to do it. So 2006 I raced and I was just absolutely hooked on adventure racing. It just fulfilled what I was missing in my life. I love adventure racing for the fact that of the unknown, you don't know what the trail is going to be like. You don't know what the event's going to be like. It's not, you don't know what the water's going to do on that particular day. So you just really got to be prepared for everything and anything. So, I was hooked, and that led me on another journey.
Amazing. And that first Anaconda race, so 2006 was when you competed. What was the race? How long was it? What was the format?
Wow. I've done so many, I can't particularly remember that exact format, but it was the Lawn Anaconda Adventure Race, and I think it started off with a nearly 2K swim maybe, and then there was a paddle leg that took us out onto the ocean and along to, I think it was about 16-kilometre ocean paddle, and then we had to do a run back into Lawn. I think that was about 16 kilometres, and then there's maybe a 30-kilometre mountain bike ride, and then finish up on a 2-kilometre beach run. So, and I was very new to it. So I think I hired a bike and hired a boat for that race.
Yeah.
I was wearing someone else's shoes that were, 2 sizes too big for me, and I managed to place 7th in that race, but it gave me that determination. And I just went, I'm coming back, and I'm going to keep doing this event until I win it.
Yeah. Awesome.
And the following year I did. I think it was the following year that I won it, but I ended up racing the series all around Australia. I just couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah. And you did that for a lot of years. Entered a lot, won a lot by the looks of things, and then obstacle racing came along around 2012.
So that's right. So I'd been racing and racing internationally, and wasn't necessarily looking for anything because adventure racing covers all bases for me. There's so many disciplines that you never really get bored. But I heard on the TV about World's Toughest Mudder, and I was at the radio, and I just went, oh no, I heard about Tough Mudder, and I went, that's perfect, like a running race with obstacles, like that kind of mirrors my life. And I got online, Googled it, and I saw about World's Toughest Mudder, and that grabbed me. So Tough Mudder excited me, and then I just wanted to do Tough Mudder so I could qualify for World's Toughest Mudder. And that was, once again, I thought, I looked at the results and looked at what people had done. I thought, I can win this thing. I reckon I can win it. So I was very much new to obstacle race, and I went to World's Toughest Mudder having done only one obstacle race prior to it. But I did my research and I realised it was going to be cold. So I knew 24 hours wasn't going to be a problem because of adventure racing. 24 hours is kind of nothing.
That's a small adventure race, right?
That's right. And I knew the obstacles I could manage, but I knew the cold was going to be my obstacle. So thus, I just did a lot of research, bought lots of different products. And then that's how I made the BleggMitts, because I couldn't find anything. I tried all these different gloves, and, as long as my fingers were isolated, they weren't keeping warm. So I cut up a pair of paddle pogies and shaped them into something that I could pull my hands out of. So obviously you need your hands. So this thing where I made these things that I could just rip my hands out of, do an obstacle, put them back in again, and they'd be nice and cozy. So,
So they're like a mitt, like sleeve that you can sort of put on and pull off, and it's neoprene, right? The BleggMitt.
That's right. So they're like maybe a bit up and glove like, but there's a sort of a split through them, so you can just pull your hand out and leave the mitts on. So the mitts stay on your wrist, your hand comes out, you do what you need to do, and then put your hands back in. And you can
Yeah,
Sorry,
which is great.
hot flush.
And a lot of a lot of races often ask me about gloves. You know, are gloves a good idea on course? And
Yep.
my answer usually is, you know, gloves can be okay, but it's another layer of membrane that's going to slip, right? So
Yes,
if you're wet and you're going to try and get across monkey bars or rings, you better hope you got real good grip strength, because the gloves aren't going to do
that's
you any
right. Yeah,
favors.
and that's right, and that's another reason I made these, because I love like dexterity with my hands,
Yeah,
and being able to feel the obstacles. So yeah, that was, these mitts were a part of that I could access my hands,
yeah,
and then tuck them away nice and warm.
yeah. And just while we're on that, you sell these mitts.
That's
What's the
right.
website? I'll put it down in the
Uh,
comments, so if anyone's interested.
www.bleggmitt.com.au.
BleggMitt or Mitts?
BleggMitt, BleggMitt
Yeah,
.com, just one T.
.com. .au or
I think it's .au.
okay,
I
we're right with
think.
that. They'll Google.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
we've got two types. So we've got an extreme for sort of sub-zero temperatures. That's in Celsius, and then a light. So, and the light's for more for ultra running,
Yeah.
training, that sort of thing, where you're not in extreme conditions.
Yeah, cool. I've been meaning to get some. Last year, I had a bit of problems with when I did the 24-hour enduro. Um, just in the middle of the night, my hands were getting cold, and I just couldn't warm them up. And I sort of was running with them
Yep.
in my pockets, and people were saying, "Get these BleggMitts, they're amazing." I think it was James from Obstacle Races Australia
Oh,
was
yep.
was
Yep.
getting me onto them.
James Whitaker. Yep.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I've been meaning to get some, and I've just moved to the Gold Coast, and obviously in 2020 there's no events, and it's like this is what I wear in winter in the Gold Coast, so I don't need
Yeah.
mitts.
Yeah.
Not until it
Sure.
gets cold again.
That's
So yeah,
right. Yeah.
so
Which up in Queensland probably won't happen in a hurry.
not for a little while, but yeah. So there's a lot of love coming in the comments here. We've got Donna's live, Cheryl, Sharon Watine, can't wait to see the adventure race, Jill, Mickey, Edith. Mickey's saying you're an inspiration.
Oh, thanks, Mickey.
Dominica's live. David Brady's live. Alana. Jim Bullard's here. He says when I grow
Hey,
up, I want to
Jim.
be.
What was that?
He says when I grow up, I want to be Deanna.
Tell him not to grow up.
Don't grow up, Bull.
We
It's a
love
trap.
him how he is.
It's a trap, man. Don't grow up. Sharon's live. Jim's also said, I remember so well your support in 2014 for the Ultra Beast in Killington, the night after your, I think it's World Championship Beast run.
Yes.
Gave Bull a little bit of support on the Ultra
Yeah,
Beast course.
we went out and cheered on the Aussies and actually everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's a tough course, the Ultra Beast.
Is that the one that you've? Is that the one you've told me about, Bull? I think it's the one he's told me about, but he'll tell me if it is. Kerry's live as well. Alana says BleggMitts are so good, love them. Nikki Leach loves the Bleggs as
Thanks.
well. Jenny Isaacs,
Oh, hi,
everyone's here.
Nikki. Oh,
Jenny
yay.
Isaacs says, thanks, Matt. Love Deanna, great friend and awesome inspiration. Jim says, what rock you been living under, Matt? I don't know, man. Whatever rock will have me. Chris is live. Jim's got 4 sets of BleggMitts. And,
Oh, wow.
yeah, but only 2 hands. And,
I won't ask where he puts the others.
yeah. And Stu Russell saying, hey, D, awesome work. So
Thank you.
loads of, and Jim has just confirmed that that's the war story he's told me about Killington. I think it was the one with the huge mountain, and he looked at the finish line, he looked at the mountain and went, I don't know if I'm going to get that one. But
yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, and that's such a big part of why I love this sport, is seeing often the front runners, the guys who are out there, winning the races, which is not me, coming back to help the other guys and see,
Yeah.
the slower guys through the course, and it's just such an incredible spirit. And I imagine it's very similar in adventure racing.
Yeah, look, adventure racing I love because of the community, and as to the obstacle racing, and if I'm not enjoying the people I'm around, then I don't do the sport. So, obstacle racing community is awesome and supportive, and the adventure racing as well. There's, obviously friendly rivalry on course, but it's not. I think with these sort of events, everyone's conquering their own demons, and each and everyone's doing it tough out there, no matter what. So there's respect for that, and there's respect for all shapes, all sizes, all sexes. Doesn't matter. Like, everyone's on the same course, and working through their own events. So, and there's heaps of support out there, and I love that. It really drives me and makes me want to be a part of it too. So,
yeah, definitely. That's one of the things I love, is it is such an inclusive community, and the dickheads don't last long, which is nice. They tend to get pushed out. So, what makes you push your limits like you do, Deanna?
I don't think I know any other way, actually. Even as a kid, when I raced till I dropped, pretty much. So when I started doing cross country, I must have got myself a bit of a reputation because there were always people at the finish line to catch me, because I'd sort of cross the finish line. I'd sort of push my body so hard, I'd sort of go into this sort of fit. Very unhealthy, but I didn't know any other way. And I have, through my racing career, just pushed myself that I've gone unconscious through races.
Oh, wow.
I know I have a stop button now, but maybe as a kid I didn't feel that, or most people sort of feel they're not feeling too good, or they've got to slow down. I don't think I had that as a kid. So I just wouldn't know. I remember once my dad found me sitting in a puddle in a race. This was when I was doing triathlons. I'd gone hypoglycemic, and I was in another world, and he just found me in a puddle, and he guided me home, and I have no memory from that race. But it's funny that my body can keep going, but my mind's already shut down. So, so as a kid, I had no control over it, but as an adult, I have a lot more awareness and know when my body's reaching its limits, and I know when to back off. I know when to feed myself because I feel that hypo coming on. So I guess I'm more wizened.
You've
and I don't look. Yeah, I hope it's not too tame, but maybe it is. Maybe I'm getting a bit soft, but look, when it comes to the crunch, I will take my body to the limit it needs to go. And I've also got that switch. So when I'm training, I'm pretty relaxed, but as soon as the race starts, then it's like a flip a switch and I go into race mode.
Yeah, awesome. And that, to me, that shows an amazing amount of mental strength to be able to push your body to that breaking point, and I imagine push through a lot of pain.
Well, I don't know whether I feel the pain. That's what I don't know. So I don't know whether I feel it and ignore it, or I just don't feel it. And I don't know. I know I do feel like now I do, but I don't know as a kid, whether I did feel it or not.
Yeah.
So I don't think I could push myself through to that unconscious point anymore. I think.
Yeah. How much of that is just experience, is just learning that body-mind connection and knowing what you're feeling and knowing when to feed and...
Yeah, I think it is totally experience, and not wanting to go to those places anymore. So you learn how to nurture your body through it. As a kid, you don't know. And it takes time, it takes living with yourself, it takes training with yourself and racing to work out what works, what doesn't work, getting the food right, getting your training, your balance of training and recovery right, all that sort of stuff. So, just I guess I'm older and wiser and know how to look after myself a little bit better.
Yeah. And Jim's just said, spoiler alert, episode 1 of World's Toughest, 37 minutes in, D front and center. I've been binge watching it, Bull. I literally just paused it and ran in here. So I think I'm just about to start episode 3. It's awesome. Jim said plenty of demons. Everyone on course has demons, especially in the long stuff. I think anything under like 6 hours, there's no demons, but they come out. 4
They
in the morning,
certainly do.
demon time.
Yep, and
Lisa's,
they go away when the sun comes up.
yeah, for a little while when the food's good. Lisa said you're a legend, Dee, and a gorgeous friend. Everyone lucky to be in your life.
Oh, thanks,
Oh,
Lisa.
there's heaps of love coming in. Sean Phelps has said he can't wait to catch up and hear your Fiji story. And Lisa's always said you have no limits. And a question's coming from Darren, and it's something that I was definitely going to dive into, which is how do you train and prepare for an event like this? What does your standard training week look like?
Okay, so for me, and I can't this is how it works for me. It may not work for everyone, so hear what I say, but take what you need. I've got a lot of life and a lot of training and a lot of race history in my body, so it's pretty well, it's all there, and I just need to sort of, when I've got an event, I just pick up the training and make it happen.
Yeah.
I don't have to do the years and years of training or that really crash sort of style training to get prepared for an event. I always say I'm like 8 weeks out of peaking. So I always kind of keep my body at a level that it's fit, and then when I need a race or a peak for something, and then I'll pull it into line. So when for Eco Challenge, I wasn't at a really fit time in my life. I'd sort of just sort of relaxed and was just doing social sport.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really racing, and I really just sort of going out for fun mountain bike rides and fun runs and that sort of thing. So when I found out our team was accepted, I had to sort of lift the bar a little bit. So we sort of on the weekends did our long training as a team, and during the week we just sort of did the shorter runs. I'm not a fan of doing the 24-hour no sleep or the sleep deprivation training. I love my sleep, and I don't really work well without it. And I know how my body goes without sleep. I don't need to test run it. So whilst anyone that's going to go into a long haul event, I think it's a really good idea to do that sleep deprivation, 24 hours or 48 hours. Just so you know how your body functions, just so you know what your body wants. So through the night, so we have our cycles, and during the day we like to eat, and our body's really accepting of food. At night, normally your digestive system shuts down and it doesn't like food. So learning how to feed your body and what to feed your body in the times that it doesn't really feel like food, because you've got to keep the nutrition going, because you're moving for all that time. So I think it's really wise to do a 24 or 48 moving. You don't have to move fast. It can be hiking or, just mix up hiking, biking, but just time on your feet. That's what I'd recommend for other people if they haven't done that. I've done that enough that I don't want to ever do that unless I'm just in a race. I'm pretty soft. My training's pretty soft, really.
You know it, right? As you said, you don't need a test run if you've already had plenty of them.
Yeah, and I don't believe that you can train your body for sleep deprivation. I may be wrong, and if I am, that's okay. I don't want to. Go through the motions and try to find out whether I'm right or wrong. So that's. But you just got to. It's not about going fast for these events. It's just time in your legs. So the training is just lots of hours moving. Yep.
Yeah. And that's something I've sort of found with I've been obstacle racing for a few years, and I've done long stuff, year on year, and my fitness hasn't necessarily improved. In some aspects, it's probably gone backwards, but I seem to be going further and longer at the long distance stuff. It's like that. It's like that conditioning. Once it's there, it sticks around for a long time. Like it's just ready to be tapped into. That that I guess your body remembers just getting thrashed for 24 hours at a time.
I think so. Yeah. Look, for me, it's just time in your legs, and that's what I say to people. Like, don't worry about training hard or fast or this or that. Just if you want to do endurance race, get time in your legs.
Yeah.
If you try and put too much speed in your legs, or go too hard with your training, you'll break down. Like you'll get injuries, you'll get those repetitive strain injuries or pull muscles, that sort of stuff. But long, slow miles, it's just so comfortable for the body, and you get quicker. You just get quicker, and just naturally without hurting yourself.
Yeah. Do you sort of prescribe to the 80-20 sort of principle that's so popular with endurance training? That is, you do sort of 80% of your training at low capacity?
My training is not conventional.
Okay. It sounded like
so
what you explained.
I believe that would work. Look, I think that happens naturally in my training, especially if you're running mountains and things. There's your intensity. That'll do. Tick. Look, I believe that theory works well. I don't do, when I'm doing long haul events, I don't do a lot of that 20% sort of speed work. But I guess when I was racing, I was doing gym, like CrossFit and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of high intensity. So let's tick that box.
Yeah, cool. All right. Nutrition. You touched on overnight during this long distance stuff that you have to sort of teach your body to accept food. And one of the things about exercising for long periods is your body pulls your blood away from your non-essential systems, which unfortunately is digestion. And one thing that separates really good endurance athletes is just the ability to stomach anything. How good are you? How good are you with food? How do you fuel your body on these events?
So I learned a long time ago. I think probably because in my younger years I used to not fuel my body very well at all. And your body finds it very hard to recover once you've taken into that depletion. You probably see people vomiting and throwing up and not being able to take food, and that's just because your body's too depleted. It's shut down that system, and it's not going to work unless you stop. So for me, I do it when I train. So a lot of people don't eat when they train, and then they go and race these long races, and then they try and shovel this food, but the body's just going, hang on, this is not what you do when we train. So my training, if I do anything over sort of an hour, I'll take food with me and just get that process. So the body's used to taking food. I also I'm okay like to eat and exercise, and that's something else you should do as well. Like, a lot of people maybe don't like doing that in the morning, but maybe if you're an evening runner, have a feed and then go for a run, and just get the body used to putting blood in the stomach and putting blood through your muscles. So, and run, you may need to pull back your intensity. Obviously, don't eat a meal and go and do sprints down the running track, because that meal's not going to stay there.
Yeah, I'm a demon for having mockers too close to when I train. So I nearly did it this morning. I had a mocker on the way to the gym, and then my PT's like, "We're doing parachute runs." I'm like, "Oh no!" I always spew coffee. So is there a specific food? Like, is there a certain type of food that you eat that agrees with you? And I know food's very individual. I think it's the question that gets asked the most whenever I'm interviewing an athlete. Everyone says, "Tell me what she eats." I'm like, doesn't mean it's going to work for you, but I'll ask.
That's true. Yep.
Is there a formula?
Food is fuel. So what you put in your body directly affects how your body performs. And your body will get used to your fuel as well. But I'm predominantly plant-based, and it depends on the intensity as to what fuel I'm having. So if I'm obviously doing a high-intensity event, you can't chew. Your mouth's too dry. There's not enough liquid. Your body just would reject it. So I mix up honey and caffeine, or I don't do gels. My body rejects gels. Maple syrup is great. All those sort of liquid things that you can just squirt into your mouth. It's instant. But that works for high intensity. But if I'm going to like a 3 hour, and that's all your body needs. Then it doesn't particularly care about anything else. But as you move into a longer event, for example, a 12 or a 24 hour, you're still working at a moderate intensity, so your body can adjust more to different sort of foods because you're not redlining that whole time. So, yeah. So, sorry, my son's just come in the door. So and in a 24-hour, you need different foods, and it's not just carbs. You're going to need something of substance. So I adjust my food. I make a lot of soups for a 24-hour race. So something like World's Toughest Mudder, I have hot soup. And I'll have my basics. So every lap I go out, I'll have my honey shot. I'll have a turbo. So I mix this powder called Turbo Superfoods in with like a banana and milk, and have that in a little kid's fruit juice container sort of thing.
I was just giggling I was just giggling because I saw Jim post a comment before saying turbo race paste. I assume that's what you're talking about.
Jim's, well, that sort of thing. Everyone will have their own turbo race paste or version of it. So yeah.
So what's Jim's. In that? Sorry.
I just make it with rice milk, turbo superfood powder, and maybe banana or honey or something like that. And I'll have that in a little popper juice container. Then I'll have some honey mixed with warm water in another container. So they're my staples. So if I'm doing World's Toughest Mudder, I think it's 8-kilometre lap. That will get me through that 8 kilometres. But when I come back into transition, my support crew will have a plate of like a plastic container lid, and it'll have like salty food on it, sugary food on it, avocados, just all this stuff, because you don't know when you're racing. You think your body's going to want one thing, but it will call for something different. It might have, like, I'll have cut up fruit. It might be strawberries, pineapple, mandarins, all that sort of thing, and then some salty chips. Anyway, so when I come in, my body will just, I don't think, my body just tells me what it wants, and I'll grab a handful of that. Normally I'll have a cup of soup, so a soup that I've made up of vegetables, soup that I've cooked up. So I take that out in a coffee mug, a disposable coffee mug. I take my soup out, and then I take my handful of whatever else, and then I walk out of transition and just make sure I finish that soup and the food that I've got, and then I'll go into a run and start that movement again. But I never really stop. My transitions are very, very quick. I don't sit down. I just come in, get the food, go again, and I eat the food walking. I don't sit and walk.
Yeah, awesome. My partner Dominica makes a pumpkin and sweet potato soup, which is fantastic at like 3 a.m.
Yeah,
it's excellent.
It's warming and nutritious, and
so good.
It's great.
So good. You said you're predominantly plant-based. Which is a bit of a trend with the long distance guys and girls. Is that just because you run the best off it and you feel the best on it? Is there a reason for it?
Well, that for a long time now, people have been sort of playing around with plant-based, and I've always said, I'm a meat eater. I love my meat. I need my meat, that sort of thing. But in 2016, I got breast cancer, and I went through the chemo, radiation, and it was the most violent thing I've ever done to my body. And I went to see an integrative health doctor. So she works in both worlds of medicine.
I said, I
never ever want to go through that again. What do I need to do so my body doesn't head down that alley again? And she said, look, nothing's 100%, but if you stop eating animal products, stop eating processed food, and cut out the sugars out of your diet, then that's going to be the best for your body. And I just, from that day, that's what I did. I just changed, and at the start, because I just wanted to rid my body of the chemo toxicity and the radiation, all that sort of stuff, I just went raw plant-based, and kept a very, very simple diet. But over the years that's changed a little bit. I probably eat a little bit more processed foods than I used to. I cook a bit more, especially in winter, because I've got a cold body and it just needs to be heated up. And salads just don't heat me up.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just dropping stuff all over my counter here while I try and fill my glass of water. So is there any meat at all in the diet?
So for 3.5, 4 years, no meat.
Okay.
However, when I travelled, I went to Vietnam, and I think, maybe a couple of shrimps, maybe the soups were made from chicken stock, or there were a couple of shrimps in the, and if that happens, that happens, I don't mind. I adapt to my environment. In Fiji, when we were racing, we went through villages, and there's like these hot fish samosas. They went down my throat pretty easy. And interestingly enough, when I got back from Fiji, I'd lost how many kilos? Probably a good 6 kilos. And I'd wake up and I'd think of food the whole day. It's just food. And interestingly enough, I was, looking out for, I'd eye off kebabs and burgers and all this fatty, meaty stuff. And I just kept saying, no. But my body would still be hungry. And then I think 7 days later, I just went, stuff it, I'm having a burger. And it wasn't a McDonald's burger. It was at this really nice burger restaurant. And I had the burger, and that was it. Like, I had bacon, patty, egg, cheese, everything, and the cravings went away. It was just immediate, and so that was kind of weird. But I just went, okay, my body obviously needed a lot more than what I'd been feeding it. And then now I do once a month. I have an eye fillet about the size of fist size eye fillet. And a lot of people that have stopped eating animals and meat can't stomach meat, but I really, really enjoy that still. I don't know why, but anyway, it seems to be working. I'm not getting any cravings, and I enjoy it when I have it. But it's just once a month.
Yeah, I have almost daily burger cravings. Love burgers. I had a burger today.
You must, I think high intensity, I don't know. And maybe I think men are a little different. Like, my son's he's 17-year-old and growing, and I don't know whether plants could sustain him very well just in that growth period. But anyway, he's not plant-based.
Yeah, it's amazing how diverse people's diets are. And you look at something like endurance racing, where, like, this is the limits of human performance, right? What people can do. And they just eat everything. Like, you'd think there'd be sort of one thing that people would lean to, and they're the guys who win, but nope. It's so diverse. It's so amazing.
That's right. As an athlete, you've got to find out what works for you, and that you've got to do that by trial and experience.
Yeah. Still plenty of love coming in the comments here, Deanna. Troy Longley says hello, says good on you, Dee.
Hi, Troy. Cheers.
Jim says once you've been there in sleep depth, Ryan Dorahy says great stuff, Dee. Adrian Mannix is live. Jim Bullard says muscle memory. These are old comments. I think he's talking about the body remembering the thrashing we were talking about. Nikki Sorrell says, love the rice mix. Laura Newton saying, timely reminder, Turbo Superfoods is the bomb. We've got Darren Clarke says Turbo and muesli for brekky. And Darren Clarke, was he in the race with you?
He was. So I've raced a lot of adventure races. So Darren Clarke's, we did a lot of adventure racing in China together in a team of 4. And then Under Armour Team Australia at World's Toughest Mudder, we were a team of 4 there. And when I was sort of asked to do this eco challenge, the person that asked me, she said, who else do you recommend? And I just, obviously Darren Clarke. So he's a legend in adventure racing, solid athlete, great team member. He's super guy.
Yeah, cool. We're definitely going to get into that World's Toughest chat shortly. I'm just going to try and get down through these comments. They're coming in pretty hot and fast. Vlad's live. Nikki Leach says Dee has a great book on diet and plant-based. Is that your book you wrote?
That's right. Me and my best mate, Amanda Steidel. So we put a book together called Veganise Me Now.
What's it called, sorry?
Veganize Me Now.
Veganize.
Yeah, menow.com. I think that's it. No AU on the end of that one. So what happened is when I went, so through chemo and radiation, my body, I think, just swelled. I put on about 14 kilos, and it just, and it, I wasn't doing anything different. It was just my body was rebelling against what I was doing to it. And then when I cleaned it up and started eating plant-based, my body just became alive again. And I posted a few photos, and people said to me, "Oh my God, what are you doing? What have you done? Tell me what you're eating." And like, I just message after message, "What are you eating?" This sort of stuff. And Amanda had always wanted to put a book together. So I said, "Look, now's the time. Let's capture what we're doing, capture what I'm eating, capture what you're eating, and put it into a book." So in that book, there's a 4-week program. Awesome. With recipes, how to change your life, and also what I went through. So initially when you come off meat, of course, you're going to want that meat, and how to use food, plant-based food, to fill that gap. There's that sense, that taste, umami, or however you pronounce it. Anyway, it's that kind of that feeling you get after eating meat. Mushrooms have it, and there's some other really hearty sort of foods that have it. So how to find that in foods, what you do when you crave, and how to, like, people think like vegans just salads. So how to, when I was plant-based and raw, I ate a lot of salads, but it's what you add to those salads to fill the gaps, and that's lots of seeds and making your own toppings and that sort of thing. So, the book sort of explains it all, and it was great, and I still use recipes.
And Amanda has just posted the website in the comments for everyone to,
thanks, Amanda,
to check it out. So, awesome. Jim Bullard says, I have small amounts of meat and supplements with personally grown sprouts. Sean Phelps says, I'm sugar-based. So he's good at the high-intensity fast stuff, maybe.
Sean's awesome athlete all round. And like when you said something about fueling, when you were saying, all sorts of athletes fuel themselves with stuff, I thought immediately of Sean, because I know his very sugar-based diet, from what I hear, Sean, and he's like an awesome athlete that can sustain himself on the food he eats. So we're chalk and cheese with our diet, but he's certainly up there.
Yeah, there's a saying in endurance sports: if the furnace is hot enough, it doesn't matter what you throw in there, right?
Not heard that, but that sounds good. Yeah.
Jim says broccoli, alfalfa, and sunflower. Julie says hi. Julie Meneghini, perhaps?
Hi, Julie.
Emily Johnson says, hi, Dee, well done. You're an inspiration. Darren Clarke says, thank you for the kind words, Dee. We made a good team. And Amanda says hi. Laura Newton also posted the website. And Lisa Muir says, Deanna, you're a legend as well. So
thank you.
I'm struggling to keep up with these comments. They're coming in everywhere. You said Deanna, you said that you had breast cancer, I believe, in 2016, and obviously had a journey there to go through. How has finding your limits, by choice athletically, helped you with some of the challenges that you've faced?
Well, maybe my challenges has helped me find myself athletically. I think in life, like, the more that's thrown at you, the more that you've got through, the stronger you become. Yeah. That saying, if what doesn't kill you make you stronger, but it's kind of true. Like, if you're always overcoming sort of bits and pieces through your life, then you learn how to adapt and overcome when bigger things are thrown your way. The breast cancer for me was like, I didn't know if I could recover and race and be strong. And I know, you sort of hold on to a person, and for me it was Lance Armstrong. I'd read his book, and he'd gone through horrific sort of treatments and life and death situations, but he came back and came back a supreme athlete. And I just thought, a man like Lance prior to cancer was a supreme athlete, and he came back and continued to be a supreme athlete. And I just thought, well, if Lance can do it, I'm going to give it a go. So my goal I just set that as a little goal. So that was part of my journey. I had to accept, and I didn't fight. I had to accept I was going through chemo. I had to accept that was going to destroy my body. And I had, I wasn't angry with it. I didn't fight it. I just thought, this is the process I've chosen. And at the other end, I can control how I rebound from that. Yeah. So that's what I did. I did do CrossFit all the way through chemo. My cardio engine died, but my strength engine increased. Go figure.
Wow.
I started doing PBs with my lifts. But I think when they give you the chemo, they give you a bit of steroids first to help you combat the side effects of chemo. So, I think it's all this big mix of stuff. Anyway, they put it in your body. For the next 3 days, I was pinging. So 3 days after chemo, couldn't sleep, high energy, knocking out PBs. And then after that, I just collapsed, like a train had hit me. And I'd lay in bed. I'd get up for a walk. But I made it. I just chose one thing that I wanted to cling onto, and that was the CrossFit. So every day I went to CrossFit, except every day that was open. Yeah. And some days I'd be throwing weights above my head, and other days I'll just sit there and stretch, or the coaches were very observant, and they just say, oh, today's a good stretching day, depending on what the cycle of chemo I was going through. But that beautiful support of the CrossFit, and you've probably heard of it, the CrossFit family. They were really nice and supportive. I couldn't run anymore. I'd do 5 wall balls and have to sit down, whereas I could normally knock out 50. And friends were saying, oh, now you feel what it's like to be normal. So yeah, it was tough time. But when I finished, that's when I made that goal. Well, whilst going through it, I said, right, I'm going to come back from this fitter, stronger, faster and healthier than I was beforehand. Wow. And my tester was the world's toughest mudder, so I came back in 2017. And whilst I didn't finish place-wise as well as I had previous years, I loved the race the whole way through, smiling every lap. I was moving the best I'd ever moved and covered more miles than I had previously. Yeah. A lot of them were, what are the miles when you can't do the obstacle? Penalty. Yeah, lots of penalty miles in there.
Yeah. I think I think the sport's grown as far as the people that are attracted to it. So the field would have been stronger in 2017, for sure.
That's right, and a very strong women's field there. And I placed 4th in the women's.
Wow.
But yeah, it was the best race I'd had. And the next day I could have got up and gone for a run, which is not normal. Normally I can't walk for a few days. So yeah, I just wanted to see if I could do it, and I did come back. And so for me, that I knew, not that I raced a lot after that, but I knew that I hadn't lost what I had, that it's still there. I just need to call on it when I wanted to.
Yeah, awesome. And I think you said the days when you went to the gym and you weren't feeling it, that they were stretch days. I think that's that's an endurance racer thing. I think the reason ultra runners don't get injured is they know when to walk. They sort of listen to their body, right? So they can do these crazy things and be in tune.
That's right.
You said that sort of becoming in tune with your body, you didn't always have it. Was there a specific way that you cultivated that? Was there a certain discipline or something that you took on?
I think it's just maturity. So I stopped racing at a elite level when I was 23, and I didn't start again until I was 36.
Okay.
So, whilst I put a lot of weight on in some of that time, I reached 86 kilos. So, and then I had, like I was saying earlier, a few health issues, and I think just when I came back to racing, I knew I had to look after my body. So it's something, because of my health, I had to nurture my body. If I wanted to race, then I had to really respect my body and not hurt it. So to do that, you've got to just back off a bit, learn to understand it. I don't use watches. I don't use heart rate monitors. I don't track any of my training.
Wow.
I'm not coached. When I went to CrossFit, of course, I was, coached there, but like no one sets a program for me. I just, I wake up and go, it's a great day for a paddle. Let's go paddle. Or
Yeah, cool.
might be a weekend and it's sunny and the mountain bike's calling, that sort of thing. So yeah, no fixed agenda, just to love what I do. And I think that's what's kept me in this sport uninjured, is because I don't thrash my body.
Yeah, awesome. How do you recover? How do you, these crazy events that you do, is there a
Yep.
recovery protocol? Is there a go-to recovery meal? What's the secret?
So recovery is vital to becoming stronger and to have a longevity in a sport. Afterwards, so I would only do one long haul. When I started obstacle racing, I'd only do one long haul race a year, and that was World's Toughest Mudder, because it knocked a lot out of my body. And I would, after that, I wouldn't train. I'd just let the body relax for 4 weeks. Sometimes it was 6 weeks, just depending. And I did nothing, like I'd maybe go for a walk, but nothing. My body would soften out again. And I just, life has cycles. Like every year there's cycles. There's times where trees will grow and times for trees not. Animals, that they produce and they grow, and then the time that they will hibernate. And our bodies are the same. And if we just keep thrashing them day in, day out, year in, year out, they're going to break, because we're very much cyclic. So ideally you'd want to do that in the winter, but our seasons and races don't coincide like that. So mine was always a summer hibernation.
Yeah.
So I'd do that, and then it meant there's that big job of trying to get your body, after 4 weeks rest, trying to get your body back, and you hate it. Like it's, I don't really want to go for a run and all that
First
sort of
week
stuff.
back.
But, yeah.
Especially at CrossFit.
And you force yourself out, and by then you're, a week or two into it and you're back on it again. So that's one way I recovered from the big events. Generally, like when I was training and did a big training for adventure racing, and I did like a back-to-back weekend, I'd, take Monday, Tuesday off, or, just Monday off and just do a little walk Tuesday. And how else? Sleep. Sleep's vital. Ideally, I'd like 8 to 9 hours. I don't always get it, but sleep is when your body recovers. And, of course, food as well, fueling, just fueling your body with good food that it needs. And I don't take, apart from the turbo superfoods, which I don't call a supplement, but I don't really take, I don't take protein powders or pre-workouts or post-workouts. I just eat food.
Yeah, cool. Is there a go-to post-race meal? Is there something that you just always crave on the finish line?
So pre-going plant-based, it was always burger and chips. And interestingly enough, when I went through chemo, on the 4th day, I would crave burger. Like it was just
wow.
So there's something in that my body, and I call it. I guess I had such toxic overload that there was something in the burger that kind of feeds that. It's kind of like, I guess you can relate it to when you've had a big hangover or something and you just want that big greasy sort of meal. I guess that's what it felt like. I felt like I had a terrible hangover. So it used to be burger and chips. I'd never be able to finish it because your body, your stomach shrinks so much racing, and then you go, oh man, massive meal, and take a few bites, go, whew, full.
Sit there and look at it.
Yeah. So that used to be, And interestingly enough, like I said, when I finished Eco, it was on my mind the whole time. Like burger. I just didn't give in to a week later, and I ate it. So
yeah, awesome. A little bit more love coming in. Laura Newton says, "Oh my goodness, I miss you Southerners." Amanda I saw Amanda comment when you were talking about the chemo. She said she not one day complained. Nikki Leach said, "I know, legend," in response to that. And Annette Crick says, "You're such an inspirational woman. Thank you for sharing your journey and knowledge." And my mum, Kathy's watching as well and said, "So inspiring." Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Amanda was with me. Amanda lived about 3 or 4 kilometres down the road, so she was pretty much with me. She bought soups, the broth soups around for me each day, and
awesome.
Checked in on me each day. And then when I was going to radiation, she'd ride her bike because I couldn't do it for chemo, but for radiation I got my cardio engine back a bit, so she'd ride her bike in with me. And the last day of radiation, we ran into radiation, ran home again, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. Nobody's self-made, right? Everyone's got a support network. That's good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about world's toughest race. Already mentioned a few times. I've been binge watching it. The Eco Challenge in Fiji. It's just launched on Amazon Prime this week. So it was 671 kilometers. 66 teams from 30 countries had 11 days of multidiscipline race across Fiji. So, yeah, tell us where do we start with it?
So, Eco is like the pinnacle of adventure races. So we've all, as adventure racers, we'd all heard of it. Some of the, like Darren Clarke, who'd been around for a lot longer, had sort of, I don't actually think he'd raced in it, but it was his pinnacle race actually. No, so it hadn't been run for 19 years. So whilst I'd heard about it, the opportunity or the thought of it ever returning and never even really crossed my mind. However, when I heard and was asked to be in a team, it was just an instant yes. I didn't really think about it. So, it's just incredible to be a part of it. It was like leading up to Eco Challenge was probably harder than doing it because there's bigger TV production, there's lots of paperwork and lots of things you've got to sign off on, and it was just paperwork after paperwork. So by the time we got to the finish line, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't, this is almost wasn't going to be the easiest, but it's like we can put all that behind and actually get down to what we love doing, which is racing.
Getting after it.
Yeah. So it was. I'm just so pleased I had the opportunity to be a part of it. Fiji, it was warm, so like a warm environment's really perfect for me in racing. And the Fijian people were definitely the highlight of the race. We did some awesome activities, as you've seen in the TV show, and it was great also to hear about everyone's stories. We knew our own story. But we didn't know what other teams were going through, and just to watch the series and just go, oh my gosh, this happened and that happened. We didn't know, like we had no idea what was going on around us.
Yeah, it's it's been amazing. As I said, I'm 2 episodes in, up to the 3rd. I think it's the end of or it's like halfway through the 2nd day, so the storm had just hit and a couple of people pulled out. But you sort of started out with a big boat paddle out into the ocean, got to an island, a 20k trek, and then back to the mainland. So I think people are just starting to get on the mountain bikes. But there was some stand-up paddle boarding and some other stuff in there. So what else was involved for somebody who hasn't seen it, hasn't seen the hype? Explain how it sort of played out.
So basically they cut a 10-day race down into 5 stages, and they named one the ocean, then a jungle, river, highlands. Have I got more? I don't think so. Anyway, basically into 5 stages. And each stage, depending on the team, took about 1.5 to 3 days to complete.
Okay.
No, not even. Some longer than others. But like when we started, we didn't see our support crew for 2 days. And in that section, we did the paddle, the ocean paddle in the Kamikawa. We did the trek, then we did the stand-up paddleboard. and then it became a blur.
Yeah. I think you made like paddle boards out of bamboo.
Oh,
And
yeah.
paddle them down the
So that
river.
was a little bit later, but in that ocean section, you dive down, grab the medallion. So each section you have to grab a medallion. So in that section, it was in the ocean, and then we did the canyoning leg, which was just awesome. But there had been a storm, and the canyon had flooded, so they had to hold the race up. And wherever we were, we had to stop, and which wasn't great for us because we were like a kilometre out from our support tent.
Oh, no.
Or, maybe not a kilometre, but, just less than an hour away from our support. But we had to cross the river, but they wouldn't let us cross the river. So we're in the rain at night because we'd already been gone for 2 days. Our food was limited. It was just, and we knew it was so close. And eventually they opened the river up and we crossed and got there. But then it was, dark zone, and then we started out on the canyon leg, and by then the rivers had subsided a bit. And that was beautiful. I love the canyoning. It is as beautiful as it looks, these steep walls and...
Yeah.
Yeah, from there we had to go, and then we built our little rafts out of bamboo. And we had the locals help us because they know how to build them properly. And we spent, I think, about 8 hours or so paddling bamboo rafts with a bamboo stick down the river. It was very long, but in hindsight, it was time to, give our legs a rest.
Yeah.
And just sort of enjoy the scenery and the people cheering on from the edge. And the Fijians, they're amazing. That, for me, made it just so happy, warming, inviting, and, just they were laughing at us the whole way. It must have been hilarious for them.
Yeah.
And from there, just mountain biking, climbing this mammoth waterfall. We did that in the day, which was great, so we got to actually see what we were climbing.
Yeah, cool.
Then a horrific section, which... Sorry?
That's a bonus when climbing a waterfall, being able to see.
Yeah, look, that was beautiful. And once again, it was tough, but it is kind of relaxing because you can't move too quick, but and ascending correctly, it's quite comfortable. It's just long.
Yeah, was it like rock climbing, or was there ropes, or how?
There was ropes, and we had ascenders. So,
cool.
We just climbed ropes with ascenders.
I've
it was just long.
I've done a little bit of canyoning. I've done a little bit of canyoning in the Blue Mountains. There's a Empress Falls there,
nice.
and you abseil down a waterfall at the end, and it's magic.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's so nice.
Mm.
And we got to the top of the waterfall, got our medallion up there, and then we did that, which you haven't seen yet, but anyone that's seen the show will know about the river swim section. We did that at night in the rain.
Wow.
And we were all warned prior to that to bring, wetsuits and that sort of stuff. But we, not many teams did, it seems. We bought our frog skins. So frog skins are kind of like a neoprene top and bottom, and they've got thermal properties. So they're like a lighter than a wetsuit, but they still have that sort of properties. So we wore them. We carried them up the waterfall and thinking, what are we doing carrying this? It's so hot. Anyway, at the top, they just said, put all your warm gear on now, leave your helmets on, it's going to be long. So put them on, and I'm so glad we had those frog skins because by the end, you just don't know when you're going to get out of that water. That 5 kilometres takes, I don't even know how long, hours and hours and hours. Like we were submerged for over 8 hours. I don't even know. It was a very long time.
Wow.
And I was, by the end shivering, and they were trying to decide, our team was trying to decide, do we stop? Because I was, that can talk and just did that painful cold. But Darren, who knows me now, just said, keep her moving, she'll be all right, which was great because we, kept moving for a few more kilometres, and then we found that warm tent. Yay.
So how far into the race are you at this point? A couple of days in?
Yeah, like 4 or 5, or probably 4 or 5. Yeah.
How much ground have you covered by then?
Oh, no idea.
As far as Ks. Okay.
No idea.
Hopefully I'll get up to it in the show. How much sleep had you had?
So the first night we had quite a few hours, maybe 4 or 5, because we arrived at the stand-up paddle boards and decided to head out in the morning on them.
Okay.
So we slept till daylight because you can get lost up. There's lots of little rivers up these big rivers, and some teams did take the wrong river. It's very hard to navigate on water at night. So we had quite a bit of sleep that night. And I think the second night we had a few hours. I think at the start we had maybe 3 to 4 hours a night, and by the end it just got too difficult to time your sleeping. So we'd have micro naps. So we'd be all walking along and be during the day and 15 minutes, lie down, and you instantly sleep. And someone sets alarm and then they wake you up 15 minutes and then you all go again, and then sort of maybe 3 or 4 hours, you have that 15-minute nap again. Because you get delirious, you hallucinate.
Hear stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. There's plenty of love still coming in. Diane said, love the friendship you and Amanda have. Anne says, you're amazing. Love Gina and Annie from paddling.
Oh, hi. These guys took us on as family and taught us to paddle the kamikau, or the canoes that we were using over there. So we trained with them, and we still would be training with them, except that we're not allowed into the city to train due to COVID restrictions. But they were awesome. They, just taught us how to paddle, taught us how to be strong, taught us the rhythm of the boat, and how to feel the rhythm of the boat. And we actually, I think we got to the first island in 4th position. We were a strong paddle team. We'd been taught by very good paddlers, and that was our strength was on the water.
Yeah, awesome. Anna says paddling was the best part of the race. Anna Wells. Bayside Beck. That water looked freezing.
It was so cold. Oh my gosh.
James Whitaker's here. He says, what a legend. Bart Trainer says, did you sleep at all during the race, Dee? Which we did get into a little bit. Sam Watson says, wow, what a lovely legendary lady. And Jim Bullard says, delirious and see dancing bears at the trail. Funny to shit you see. I've been I haven't done any crazy long stuff like what you're talking about, but just 24-hour enduros and stuff like that. And you'll see people sleepwalking at 4 a.m. You'll sort of jog past people and they're just dead. They're just walking, and you see people I think my first year in the middle of the night, I sort of snapped to, and I realised the trail was 50 metres that way, and I was just in the middle of the woods. You just walk with your eyes shut. What type of crazy shit did you see? Were there any hallucinations?
Well, yeah. So you kind of learn what are hallucinations and what aren't especially when you're on land. Land's kind of okay, but when you get on water, because there's so much movement, it's when there's movement around you that sort of the hallucinations start. So if you're seeing jungle and trees blowing and that sort of stuff, you tend to see a lot of dancing people and that sort of thing. But for me, on that last paddle, I was there, but I wasn't there, and I'm sorry for the rest of my team if you're listening. So that last paddle took a very long time for us. We had one of our teammates, Maria, who was very unwell, lying in the bottom of the canoe. We had Darren and Serge paddling, and I was off. I was in 2 worlds. So when my eyes were closed, I was on the ocean paddling, and as soon as they drifted, which happened most of the paddle, I was in this parallel world. So I was in this just this surreal sort of land with birds and trees, and I was still I thought I was paddling. Apparently I wasn't. But and then I'd hear this yelling and wake up, Deanna, and so my eyes would open again, and I'd right, I've got to focus, got to paddle, and I'd paddle, and then my eyes would close, and I'd go off to this beautiful land with. I just can't describe this land, but it was real, and it was my happier place to be than on the ocean. So I drifted there a bit more. So our paddle took a lot longer than it should have. There were 2 people paddling and 1 person lying on the canoe floor and 1 person in another fantasy world. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow. Maddie Probes has just asked, did you get much of a chance to hang out with any of the other teams? I know you said before you sort of just all run your own race, right? Was there much socialising before and after?
Before, it was just like this massive adventure race reunion. There were legends of the sport that you've heard of through the adventure racing channel. So they were there. Then there was people that I used to race with before I became an obstacle racer. So, that crew were there. And there was a heap of newbies as well. So it was like a massive reunion. Everyone's on this high and excited about what adventures we're going to partake in. Afterwards, it was a lot, there was still a lot of positive, good energy, but everyone was pretty smashed, except for the lead teams, because they had already had like 4 or 5 days rest before we came in. But there was always good energy. Adventure races are, just beautiful. They love outdoors. They're very chilled, and always good energy. Yeah.
Cool. So how long did it take Team Second Chance? Who was the other team members? I know Darren Clarke.
So we had Darren Clarke and Sergi and Maria, and they own a company called Adventure Junkies. So they run adventure races themselves. And Maria had just come back from the World Road Gaining Championships as a first place winner. So we had, excellent navigation with Sergi and Maria. As a team, we functioned well. We were very much down to business. We weren't necessarily a really chummy team. We functioned well and pretty much got through unscathed. I think we finished in 7 days and placed 18th. Yeah, I think it was 7 days. Yeah, or maybe it was 8 days. I don't remember. I think we're like 2 days after the lead team.
Wow. Did the Kiwis win? It looked like
of course. They were spoiler. Yeah. The Kiwis are awesome. The Australians are awesome too. Like there was, good tussles, and then there was the adventure racing team with Ryan and Ria, who I saw once as they passed us on that first island, and they just flew past us, and just amazing athletes. But we had a lot of, quite a few good Australian teams in there, and they placed very well. So New Zealand and Australia are very strong athletes when it comes to adventure racing.
I think I saw Team Thunderbolt AR. We're up there.
The twin sisters, Ben and Elizabeth.
And another team with a guy that I follow on Instagram.
Gippsland Adventure.
I'll think of it. Or I won't think of it.
The team that came third, Gippsland Adventure. Rob
sure.
Preston.
Not sure. He's a big influencer guy on Instagram. Anyway, I'll work it out. It'll pop in.
Aussie Rescue. Samantha Gash, Matt. They're on Survivor. That team?
Don't know.
Mark, not Matt. What am I talking about? Sorry, Mark.
So you've just completed the world's toughest race.
Yes.
What's next?
Entering again.
Why was the Eco Challenge? Why didn't it happen for 19 years? Do you know?
I'm not fully sure of the story. No, I don't know. Yeah.
Is it looking like it's back now? Or?
Oh yeah, entries are open. Patagonia, 2021.
Cool. Yeah. Wow. Beautiful part of the world.
Get on it.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So, what's next?
Sorry. Aussie Mayors was the team I was thinking, and Mayors is the influencer guy I was thinking about.
Mad Mayors.
That's him. Yeah.
That's him. Yep.
What's next?
So, I'm kind of fit again. I'm at a really good fitness level, but there's nothing really going on in Victoria. So I'm like a bit like a caged animal.
Yeah.
I'd planned to do rapid ascent, had a race, a mountain bike race planned about this time now in Alice Springs, Red Rock race, which I was going to enter for, but that's cancelled. So now I'm like all dressed up and know where to go. Anyway, I'll just hang in, just keep myself peaking. Well, not peaking. I'm pretty fit again. So just keep myself at that level, and then when something opens up, I'll be there. I guess.
Yeah, awesome. Are you in Metro Melbourne, where the
Yeah,
lockdowns are really heavy?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. So we
it's
get out for an hour exercise once a day. I've, in the meantime, picked up a smart trainer for my bike, so a smart indoor trainer, and I'm doing the indoor training thing, which I never ever thought I'd like, but I'm quite taken by. There's this, I don't know if you've heard of it, Zwift. But
yeah,
there's this
yeah.
virtual world, and
Zwift.
like I'm meeting
Yes.
up. So my family, like we do every Sunday night, a family ride. My mum and dad are down in Bairnsdale. My brother's in another part of Victoria. My sister's in another part of Victoria, and we'll meet on Zwift and just do a ride together. And it's like bringing the family together, but not on like Zoom or house party. We're actually on.
Yeah. I think that's the key to it. It's the social aspect. I think that's why this has become so popular, especially now. Like we've never been so isolated. So I think that's why this Zwift is taken off. I know a couple of guys who are doing it.
Yeah, it's quite good. I'm really, really loving it. And I've had an indoor trainer before, which I, used twice and then put in the garage. But yeah,
that's where mine is.
I find the social aspect group. Get a smart trainer. They're very different. Cool.
Well, I'm lucky enough. I mean, I moved up from Sydney to the Gold Coast about 6 weeks ago, so we're pretty much open here. So I can sort of just take the bike up the beach, and I'll enjoy that for as long as I can. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully we don't lose those privileges. But yeah.
No, you shouldn't. No, as long as Victorians stay here.
Hopefully. Darren said it was amazing to watch. Deanna could still paddle while sleeping. Sleep paddling.
Well, you could do what you got to do.
Yeah, that's it. Adrian Noguera says, "Hi Matt and Dee, congrats on taking such a huge challenge. Would there have been anything that you would have changed that may have made a big difference?"
Good question.
Anything in hindsight?
I think we had a good race. I think we were all very much on the same page and very aware of where we thought we'd place, and we finished where we thought, in that sort of group that we thought we would.
Yeah, cool.
I got that jungle foot happening. I don't know how to stop that. Sergio Maria, their feet were beautiful. Darren and my feet were just disgustingly swollen, and jungle foot's just
had like the trench foot thing going on.
Oh my gosh, yeah, both of us. We've got a team of 4, 2 people with great feet and 2 people with disgusting feet. So, if that would be pretty cool not to get again. But I think we had a really good race. Like, I think everything went well. I know our support man, Gavin, I talk about our race in a team of 4. We're actually a team of 5, and our support dude did a lot. He was quite new to it, so I think – sorry?
You need the support crew.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. And we've got no idea what he went through, but, after he told us after the race. But, yeah, he probably was a bit green and not really – like, he'd never done support before and really didn't know what it entailed, so it knocked him around a lot. And, like, when entries opened again, he goes, "There's no way I'm supporting again." So, you either love it or hate it. Yeah, no, I think we were really well prepared. I think we had a really good, solid team and a strong team, and very equal. Like we were all very able-bodied and function well. So, yeah, I don't know.
Awesome.
Darren, if you're there, could you think of anything?
Next time, maybe just tell the support crew where they might have to rub cream and stuff like that before the event, just so they're across everything. I've got my partner Dominica looks after me and has to apply dry glide in some interesting places. So it's quite an intimate connection you get with your support crew, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, hopefully Darren comes back with something that he might add there. Cheryl said, "Hi Dee, amazing work at Eco. Thanks for looking after my brother. Thanks for looking after Darren." I don't know where I got my brother from. Brain fade.
Thanks, Cheryl.
James Whitaker says CrossFit Games 2021. I think he's egging you on.
Yeah, look,
to
I
enter.
wanted to do that, and then I wanted to do 2020 as soon as when I turned 50, but just didn't happen, and then eco happened. Eco, endurance sport and CrossFit don't harmonise very well.
No. Nikki says we're hearing you, D. Jim says you need you need bag balm, D. Bag balm. What's bag balm? Jim Bullard. Heidi Williams says love you, baby doll, and Jim says
thanks,
bag balm and talcum. That'll be
for my feet.
For the trench foot,
bag
the
balm.
jungle foot. Bag balm. Is that a brand of something, Bull, or is that one of your own concoctions?
Turbo paste. Let's rub turbo paste on your feet, Jim.
Fixes everything. So you've been doing this endurance stuff for a good while now, at an elite level, more experience than most people will ever get. Why should somebody start doing this type of thing?
If it excites you, then take a step forward and give it a go, because it's a really wonderful world, and it's a great way to see different parts of the world. If it doesn't excite you, find a way to make it excite you. Like, it's not for everyone, and we've got to realize that adventure racing is tough, and it isn't for anything. But if someone gets a buzz from watching this race and goes, "This is something I really want to do," there's plenty of races around that are smaller. Just to dip your feet in and have a go. Obviously not at the moment, in Victoria not at the moment. I know they're still racing in New South Wales and Queensland. But like I was saying, Adventure Junkie, just put on the best little beginner races. And even if you're a well-seasoned adventure race, they're still really, really good. And they do some 4 and 5 day races. They do 3-hour races. They do women's races.
Yeah, cool.
So that's a good start. Find a company that holds something a bit smaller, have a go at it, and if that excites you and you want more, then keep looking out. They're all over the world. These races are all over the world, and take you on amazing journeys, and you push yourself to places that sometimes you don't want to go, but these races force you to go, and you overcome things. Demons. People say demons. I don't have demons. I don't believe that I overcome, but I certainly go into some darker places and they force you to stand up and you've got to stand up and keep fighting, and through pain or uncomfortable times to get through it. And that, once again, it's building blocks to make you a better and stronger and more wizened person as well. Awesome. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Whereabouts are Adventure Junkies located?
They were in Melbourne, but I think they've moved to Sydney, which is probably pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were a Melbourne-based company. But check them out, adventurejunkie.com, probably .au.
Yeah, awesome. And for anyone who is looking to dip a toe in the water, maybe not going to a multi-day adventure race is the first stepping stone, but obstacle racing, Spartan.
Yeah,
start a 5K race, 10K race. Great stepping stone. I've sort of gone the other way you have. I'm doing the obstacle racing, and I'm now doing the 24-hour races and going, there's crazier shit that we can do out there. Let's go try that stuff. So I think adventure racing is where I'll sort of head eventually.
Yeah, look, even on speaking of like newbies, there were lots of newbies in the Eco Challenge. There were people that hadn't done this thing. We didn't see all those teams, but there were 66 teams out there, and there's a scouting group from Australia, but there was also this group of kids from America, like American Scouts, and they looked like they were 16 and 17. They hadn't done it before, and they got through. We didn't see anything of them, which is unfortunate, but they got through the race. And total newbies. So, yeah, I'm going to move around here. I've got to plug my computer into a power source, but I'm still talking.
All good. Jim Bullard says yes for your feet from Vermont. I think he's talking about bag balm.
Okay. All right. I'll check it out.
Walco Emmanuel has just posted, I think he's a bot, or he's posted something about the Church of King Jesus. So I think you're on the wrong video, buddy. And Jim says, just jump in and do the crazy shit. Definitely.
Straight in, make the symbol as well, you know. As always depends, you know. There's so many different types of people and so many different personalities. Some like to just jump in, like Jim says, and go for it, and others like to, you know, try and
dip a toe in.
Yep, and build up from there.
Yeah.
Whatever way works for you, just do it.
There's no wrong. Jim says he's going to send you some.
Oh, thanks, Jim.
So he's going to send you some of his balm, his foot balm.
Okay.
What's 2 pieces of advice you would give someone just starting out with this sort of endurance events?
Well, firstly, obviously, baby steps. So it's not about speed; it's about time. And so, build up time in your body, and it doesn't matter whether it's walking, running. With my training, I do a lot of walking as I do running. Like, I don't see a hill and go, "I've got to run this hill." I go, "Oh, I run until I feel like it, and then I'll walk," because walking is part of our racing. In obstacle racing, adventure racing, that sort of thing. So my advice would be baby steps. If you go too hard too soon, you're going to get injured. So just be nice, be kind to your body, nurture it. And I feel with injury, first your body whispers and then it tells and then it yells. So most of us don't hear the whisper. Most of us hear the tell, and that's when we should act, but a lot of people ignore the tell and then they get to the yell and then it's kind of too late. So when you hear the whisper or the tell, like, listen to your body and react and you know, do what it needs to recover from whatever ailment you may have. I feel with long haul racing, you've got to get your nutrition. You've got to understand your body's going to need feeding, and it's going to need feeding all the time. So start training and feeding your face. Just do it like anything else. Over an hour, take food and jam it down your throat. Like, whether you like it or not, eat food before you go out. You know, people that go, I can't eat and then exercise. And well, how are you going to do 24 hours without eating and exercise? So just learn to do it and start with something easy, you know, half a banana, a mouthful of honey or maple syrup, just something little so your body learns to digest, and then you'll find the food that works for you and find the foods that don't work for you. What else can I advise? Just get out and do it. Like Jim says, it's an awesome, you know, you're alive when you're out in that environment.
And Jim says, I'm just crazy like that. Nikki Smith has just said, great to hear it all tonight, Deanna Blegg.
Thanks, Nikki. Long time no hear.
There's one more question that I ask everyone who I chat to. But before I do that, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you tonight, Deanna.
It's been a lot of fun.
Is there anything else you want to touch on, or anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
I think we've had a nice flow, and
definitely,
it's all good.
Definitely, you've gotten a lot of love. I don't think I've ever had this many comments on a chat. So
okay,
a lot of people wanted to hear your story and chat with you, which is awesome. So the last question that I ask absolutely everyone. What's your funniest race fail? What's the funniest thing you've had go wrong?
You should have prepped me for this one.
I don't like to prep. I just like to improv it.
Oh, man. I don't know. Sorry.
I'll put you on the spot.
My memory's not great, so it's I don't know whether it's chemo or age, but something's going not so great in there. Race fail.
Was there
Oh,
something
I
funny
know
that?
one.
Oh,
I've got one.
sorry.
I've got one. Yep. So this is when I just had my second child, and my mum had come to stay with me and was looking after my kid. And I was quite new at adventure racing still, but I, had a couple of years under my belt, or maybe a couple of races, shall we say?
Yeah.
And then, so I'm about to head off. It's a team race, so a team of two, and it's one of those quick, fast, flighty sort of races. So mum's, I've got my little system when I'm packing, and then I need kind of quiet, and I just go through the motions and put things in the car as required. But my mum's there, and I love my mum, and she's so super supportive, but she loves to have a little chat and ask questions while I need to focus.
Yep.
And, she's going, now, have you got everything? I'm like, Mum, I've done this so many times. It's okay. It's all cool. So I jump in the car, drive an hour to the race. Luckily, it wasn't that far. Get to the race and meet my race partner, and we sort of get the maps and stuff. And I go, I'll just get the bikes out of the car. Well, my bike out of the car. And I'm like, oh, there's no bike in the car. So I'm like, oh, my God. So I'm like, and then I felt so stupid because I've just said to my mum, oh, Mum, like, don't be silly. I've done this hundreds of times. I don't forget anything. So I had to jump in the car, drive another hour home, pick up the bike, drive another hour back to the event, and I made it just for the start of the event. So it wasn't necessarily a fail, but it was probably my most embarrassing race moment.
Forgotten the bike.
I forgot the bike for an adventure race.
We might get two stories out of you here, because Darren Clarke just said China race with Jared. Does that does that trigger something?
There's lots of I'll say to Darren, which one? No, I used to race with Darren and Jared, and Jared's one of those incredibly talented athletes, but sometimes you just don't know which way it's going to go in a race. So we had some interesting racing times, but all respect to Jared, of course, like he's incredible athlete. Yeah.
It looks like you're getting thrown under the bus here a little bit. Lisa's just said, what about leaving your passport at home?
Okay. I was heading off for another race. I grabbed my passport, got to the airport. It was my daughter's passport.
Oh, no. Did you try it anyway? Did you just try to wing it?
Well, no. There was another, I had to ring my friend who dropped me off at the airport and say, I need my passport. So, yeah. I actually got on the plane later. I still made it. That was the world's toughest mudder. 2015. Yeah, that's right. I still made it there. Yeah. But I was a little bit later than planned.
We've got a couple
Thanks, guys.
Got a couple of people saying hi. Andrea Applestein Bivens.
Oh, yeah.
Emma Wenham
wow.
is live as well. And then Amanda Steedle is thinking the same thing, Lisa. So
there's probably lots more than I remember, which is good. So.
You'll think of them all later once we're gone.
Oh.
It's always the way it happens. So it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, Deanna, and
Thanks,
hearing
Matt.
your story and talking about the race. So we haven't actually met in person. I hope we meet at a race soon once the post-COVID world goes back to normal and we're actually doing that type of thing again. And I'll definitely be heading over to get some BleggMitts for my next cold event as well. So
awesome.
Thanks for the chat.
Thanks, Matt. Really appreciate it. And thanks so much, everyone, for your love. It's been just because I haven't seen so many people in so long. It's just nice to, in one way or another, touch base. And this has been great. So thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, Matt.
Pleasure. And everyone's just saying thank you, and a lot of love coming in. The comments are rolling in from pretty much everyone. So
thank you.
Everyone's saying thank you for your time. So I'll end the live. You stick around for 1 second, Deanna, and thanks for everyone for tuning in. And the full chat will be up on my page to rewatch. So catch you guys.